name is Emily Harper. I was 15. It was a Thursday evening, quiet except for the hum of my phone. I had just finished my homework, but
like always, I couldn't resist scrolling through social media one last time before bed. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, every app demanding attention, every post screaming louder than the last. I had been tired, exhausted from school and drama, but I wanted to see what everyone else was doing. My thumb moved almost automatically. Likes, comments, trending videos. I laughed at a silly meme, then frowned at a friend's post about a perfect vacation. I compared my life silently and felt the familiar squeeze in my chest. Not jealousy, exactly something darker, emptier. And then, it all went black. I didn't feel pain, at least not at first. I didn't hear anything. I wasn't even aware of my body. I was aware of everything else. It was like floating in a clear pool of light that had no color and no temperature. I wasn't scared. I wasn't confused. I just was. Then he appeared. Not the Jesus I had seen in pictures at church. He didn't wear a robe. His hair wasn't flowing. He wasn't old or solemn. He was radiant, not in a blinding way, but in a calm, living way. His presence filled the space around me, like the air you breathe without noticing. "Emily," he said, and it wasn't a sound. It was a feeling, a thought, a truth that planted itself directly into my mind. "You have been trapped." I didn't understand. "Trapped?" I asked. He didn't need to answer with words. The scene shifted. I saw myself, lying on my bedroom floor, phone still in hand. I watched the streams of posts I had just scrolled through, but in this light, I saw more than pictures and videos. I saw what they were doing to my heart. Every like I chased, every comment I agonized over, every notification I waited for, it was feeding a grey fog that wrapped itself around my soul. I felt it crawling into me. It wasn't digital. It was spiritual. It was invisible, but it was real. Each video, each perfect post, each viral trend, it wasn't just entertainment. It was training. Training me to compare, to worry, to measure my worth in numbers. "Do you see?" he asked. "The enemy doesn't fight with swords anymore. He fights with distraction. He steals hearts by making them look at themselves the wrong way. He wants children like you to forget who they are." I looked around and realized it wasn't just me. I could see thousands of kids, all over my town, all over the world, sitting alone, faces lit by screens. Every scroll pulling pieces of their joy away. Shadows whispered in their ears, not visible to anyone else, not something parents could see. "You are not enough," the shadows hissed. "You must be perfect. You must be liked. You must perform," I cried. Not out of sadness, but out of the weight of it all. The world I thought I knew was small, so small compared to this truth. He reached out his hand, and I felt warmth, a pull, not like a tug, but like being called home. "Emily, you can help them," he said. "You can show them the light. But first, you must see it yourself." The light filled me completely. My fears, my anxieties, my self-doubt, they didn't disappear, but they were exposed. I understood how easily I had been manipulated by a world that pretends to care, but only wants my attention. And then I knew, this wasn't just about me. It was about every teen scrolling endlessly in their bedrooms, losing pieces of themselves, never realizing how much of their heart they were giving away. "Wake them up," he said. "Tell them they are not their screens. Tell them they are loved. Tell them to stop letting shadows whisper lies into their ears." I wanted to stay. I didn't want to leave this place of light and truth, but I knew I had to go back. The world was waiting, and it was up to me to warn them. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't back in my room yet. I was floating above a city, though it didn't look like the one I knew. It was the same streets, the same houses, but darker somehow. Each house glowed faintly with the light of a phone or a tablet. Inside, I could see the kids scrolling endlessly, tapping, liking, refreshing. And there they were, the shadows, thin, writhing things that clung to the devices, invisible to the users but very real. They whispered constantly, their words curling around every thought. "Not enough. You're behind. You're failing. Look at them. You can't compete. You'll never be liked." I could see my own life reflected in them. Every time I had checked my notifications before bed, every time I had compared myself to influencers or friends, a tiny shadow had latched onto my heart. And it wasn't just me. Every teen in the city had their own little shadows, feeding off their fear, their loneliness, their desire to be seen. Do you see, Emily? Jesus' presence was close, not above or behind me, but inside the space, around me. This is what the world doesn't show you. This is the battle for your soul. I shuddered. It felt like looking at a storm that never ended, a storm that lived in the quiet of bedrooms everywhere. I wanted to shout, to warn everyone, but I knew I couldn't yet. I had to understand first. He guided me through a few rooms. In one, a girl my age was sobbing silently. Her phone screen lit her pale face. She had been comparing herself to friends who seemed happier, richer, prettier. The shadows whispered, and she listened, believing every word. Her chest ached, her stomach twisted, and she didn't even know why. She thought she was failing at life. She thought she was invisible. In another room, a boy was endlessly scrolling videos of impossible challenges, influencers showing perfect bodies and perfect lives. He had been at it for hours. The shadows laughed at him, telling him he wasn't enough. He ignored his homework, his family, even his own dreams. Every tap fed them, made them stronger. Emily, Jesus said softly, this is not just distraction. This is war. The enemy does not fight with weapons anymore. He fights with envy, fear, comparison, and lies. Social media is the battlefield. I felt a weight in my chest, heavy and real, unlike anything in life. It was sorrow, yes, but also urgency. I didn't just want to go back for myself. I wanted to go back for them, for everyone trapped in this invisible web. Then the scene shifted. I saw glimpses of hope. A boy putting his phone down to help his mother with groceries. A girl turning off her tablet to read a book with her little brother. The shadows hissed and twisted, trying to cling to them, but the children chose something stronger. Attention, presence, love. I saw their hearts start to glow faintly, pushing the shadows back. Every choice matters, Jesus said. Every moment of turning away from the screen, of seeing the person next to you instead of the one online, you reclaim a piece of your soul, and every soul reclaimed can shine for another, until the darkness has less and less power. I wanted to cry again. I realized how many moments I had wasted, how much I had given to shadows that promised nothing but emptiness. And yet, I understood mercy. I could go back, but not just for myself. I could warn them. I could show them the truth, the light, the hope. And then I felt it again, a gentle tug, like before. It was the signal that my journey wasn't finished. But the lesson for now was clear. The shadows were real, the danger was real, and the light was stronger. The next thing I knew, my chest heaved with a sharp gasp. My eyes snapped open to blinding hospital lights. The beeping machines were frantic, and nurses were moving around me, their faces shocked. My throat burned from the tube, and my arms were pinned. My side was on fire, every breath a fight. But in the middle of the chaos, I felt the echo of that light, the warmth of Jesus' presence. It wasn't gone. It was inside me now, quietly, like a soft ember waiting to ignite. I squeezed my eyes shut and whispered, I understand. I understand now. My mom burst into the room, tears streaming, her hands trembling as she tried to hold mine. Emily, you're awake. Oh, thank God. I wanted to tell her everything, to describe the lights, the shadows, the whispers, but all that came out was a ragged, I'm okay. Later, when I could breathe without burning pain, I thought of the city I had seen, of every teen trapped in the shadows behind screens. I remembered the desperate hope, the tiny glowing hearts, the ones choosing love over fear. I knew now that I had been given a mission. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about seeing clearly, about showing others the truth hidden in plain sight. When I got home, I noticed the difference immediately. My little sister was sitting on the couch, glued to her phone, scrolling through videos and posts like a robot. My chest tightened. I remembered Jesus' words. Every moment of turning away from the screen, of seeing the person next to you, instead of the one online. You reclaim a piece of your soul. I sat down beside her and put my hand gently over hers. Hey, can we put these away for a while? Just talk? She looked at me, surprised, but nodded. For the first time in months, I felt her really seeing me, not just my profile picture or my latest post. And in that moment, I realized this was the battlefield, and the light didn't have to be invisible. That night, I prayed, not just for myself, but for everyone, for the teens who had already fallen into the shadows, for the ones still at the crossroads, for the ones who didn't even know there was a choice. And I felt the soft pull of warmth, like a promise. It wasn't too late. Social media wasn't inherently evil. It could bring joy, laughter, connection. But the shadows, the whispers, the lies, the constant comparisons, they thrived in silence. They thrived when hearts were closed. My job now was simple, yet impossible. To open eyes, to open hearts, to remind everyone that life was real, and so was love. I glanced at my phone, still in my hand. For the first time, I felt a choice, and I made it. I turned it off, and I listened. The next morning, I woke up to quiet sunlight spilling through my bedroom window. It was ordinary, mundane, but I felt different, alive in a way that went beyond just breathing. I could see the little threads connecting people, the invisible currents of fear, jealousy, loneliness, and also of hope, love, and courage. At school, I noticed it immediately. Teens walking down hallways, heads buried in phones, scrolling endlessly, faces blank, eyes glazed. It was exactly like what I had seen in the light. The grey web, the tiny arrows piercing hearts with every laugh, every swipe, every like. I started small. A smile here, a kind word there, a note left on someone's locker. My friends were puzzled. Emily, you're acting weird today. But weird felt like truth. I invited my sister to talk, instead of scroll. I asked my best friend to put her phone down while we walked to class. Slowly, I saw it, the light in their eyes returning, the shadows retreating, even just a little. That night, I prayed again, not for me, but for every teen lost in the endless scroll. Jesus, let them see, let them feel the love they're missing. Help them choose light instead of the grey web. And for the first time, I felt a warmth, respond, a promise that it wasn't too late for anyone. Over the weeks, I kept sharing, quietly, in small ways. The cafeteria, the library, the soccer field. It wasn't dramatic. There were no headlines, no viral posts, just tiny victories, a friend smiling genuinely, a sibling laughing, without checking their phone, a classmate discovering joy in real conversation. I realized the truth. The battle wasn't against the phones, the apps, or the platforms. It was against the shadows that whispered lies into hearts. And those shadows could be defeated not with arguments, not with rules, not with lectures, but with love, attention, prayer, and courage. My life wasn't the same anymore. I still had school, chores, tests, and worries, but now I saw purpose behind it all. I wasn't just Emily Harper, a 5-year-old girl scrolling endlessly or trying to fit in. I was Emily Harper, a survivor, a messenger, a small beacon of light in a world that desperately needed it. And every time I felt the pull to scroll, to get lost in the grey web, I remembered the tunnel, the light, and the warmth of his presence. I remembered the words, "Your story isn't just yours, it's for them. Go and bring the light." I turned off my phone again, smiled at my sister, and whispered to myself, "It's time to live in the light."